Hi, this is Rick Collins and this is Jim Stewart, and we're Off the Bench. The question today, should Kevin Sumlin be fired?
I honestly think he should. It has been a couple years coming now. He had Johnny Manziel when he his first couple years as head coach of A&M.
Nice?
Isn't that nice? And he got arrogant. And what has happened now is his team is arrogant. Just look at when on that second touchdown run by Williams, he came back. They basically gave him a staff, and he did a little cocky walk.
Yeah.
And
well, isn't that the A&M style now?
That is A&M style. But you know what? I think the story everybody's missing is two really irrelevant teams played a game that should not have mattered, but there was almost a historic blowout one way to the other. It just rotated.
And then it turned 180 degrees during the second half when Texas A&M's quarterback went down. They I don't know what the game plan decisions were in the second half for them, but they decided to keep doing what wasn't working, which is throwing the ball instead of just running it down UCLA's throat. They had over 200 yards in the first half rushing the ball.
Yeah,
One player had almost 200 yards.
So, and then on UCLA, when they came out at half, they switched from a pro-style offense, and what I mean by pro-style is old-school pro-style.
Under the center.
Under the center,
yeah.
Fullback, running back, pound it down your throat. They weren't able to do it.
No.
So what they did is they switched to the modern pro-style offense. So they went to West Coast.
Yeah.
They spread it out. They made it so that these pass rushers and these run blockers couldn't get to the quarterback. There was nothing for them to do. The ball was getting out quick. And they made it so that these guys were basically running themselves
right.
right.
They created the mismatches against the A&M linebackers with their quick slot receiver and their tight end. They were totally overmatched once they went to that. And UCLA's change of style totally changed the momentum in the game.
So does that really mean,
And why would you not come out with that? My confusion was UCLA, how did they not change that early on? Because you've got one of the best young quarterbacks in the country with Rosen, and you know he can throw the ball. Are you just afraid he's going to make too many mistakes?
He made a lot of mistakes early on in that game. He was not good under center.
No.
But the problem is that these pro-style coaches like Jim Mora are coming in, and they're trying to run this under center style.
They're trying to format the team around their style of play rather than play what the team should be playing.
Can you name one school right now, high school, in the country that's running pro style? It's all out of shotgun.
No.
All of them.
When I played back in the day it was, but not anymore.
Yeah,
that quickly changed, and it, I think, changed for the better in terms of excitement of the game, but the NFL hasn't made that change yet, and I'm not sure it will. It hasn't really worked. We've seen quarterbacks, Manziel, come into the league and try to change the style of play, to have this running quarterback spread offense type of play, and it just doesn't work. You see a few teams using it because they've got a Cam Newton or somebody like that, but consistently it doesn't work. The pro-style offense, the quarterback who sits back in the pocket, throws the ball down the field, has a running back that can run the ball. That's key to an offense in the NFL succeeding, but in college, it's not.
And as much as people like to think that college is a very pure form of the game, it's not. It's very gimmicky.
Yeah.
You know, run and gun works. You know, what's it called when the quarterback actually runs as well? The option.
Oh, option.
The option where they run the option all the time. All of Air Force, their whole entire offense for the last 15 years.
That's so old school, man. It's so weird to watch that.
Running the option.
Returns us to the 70s.
But the issue becomes these quarterbacks are not ready to play at the NFL level when they come out.
Yeah.
They're just not. The guys that are guys that come from smaller schools that actually run old school pro-style offense where they're used to at least being 20 to 30% under center.
Yeah.
And so I think this has really proven that you need to be able to be affluent in both styles. You need to be able to drop under center and be able to play an entire game under center if you need to. They need to practice both ways. Then, if it's not working, they can drop back and play the shotgun.
And what we see a lot with Aaron Rodgers and Brady and Peyton Manning when he was still playing was the pro-style quarterback now is the quarterback who can make those decisions on the go do they need to be under center, or do they need to be, back in shotgun? I think that's the way that the quarterback position is going, is more towards a coach on the field style quarterback rather than the quarterback who just gets a play called in from the sideline and runs that play.
And that's the issue, because on both sides of the ball, and you saw it on A&M, what happened to A&M on Saturday, these players come in, they don't know how to think for themselves. They really don't. You can see all of them, they all sit there, and then when they're about to hike, they all look over their shoulders, and there's a coach or a player and a bunch of assistants holding up signs, doing all sorts of stuff.
Trying to copy Oregon.
Yeah, and telling all these players what they need to do. So they're not thinking for themselves. So when you get a guy like a Peyton Manning, when you get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, if you get some of these players who understand coverages that are maybe a little bit more advanced, that are able to change a play.
Students of the game.
Yeah, at the line, it just is a massive mismatch for the offense, because these players don't know how to hot read. These players don't know how to check out into different defensive sets.
So back to Kevin Sumlin. Should he be fired?
Yes.
You would fire him today?
Yes, but I heard there's ramifications.
Apparently 11 million of them.
Within 60 days.
Yes. It's the most insane contract I've ever seen before, and that is Texas A&M, if they decide to fire him, have to pay the rest of his contract within 60 days of the day that he's been let go.
Is it all guaranteed?
All guaranteed. Everybody, when this contract was signed, complained about how manipulative it was of the coach to put together a contract like this. And I agree. I think this is it was unprecedented at the time. And even today, coaches aren't signing contracts where they get guaranteed millions of dollars when they walk away.
Kevin there is a coach right now in the NFL that reminds me a lot of Kevin, and that's Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
I feel like the personality's the same, the swagger's the same, and the same sort of thing has happened between the Steelers and A&M. The Steelers, because of Big Ben, are doing really well. He demands a lot from that team.
Yeah.
But you have noticed a discipline problem on the Steelers. You notice that these players are almost to a detriment. This cockiness, this flamboyancy that actually hurts the team more than it helps them. And I really think that these coaches, these athletic directors, and these GMs have got to think that, yes, these teams thrive off the cockiness of their coach. They do. If the coach is confident, they're confident. But after a while, I do believe that these coaches need to be held accountable, and they need to be professional. They are professional coaches. They are getting paid millions of dollars a year to coach kids and to coach bigger, older kids, but they basically are kids. Look at Zeke Elliott. They're basically bigger, older kids that make more money than them in the pros. So, you almost need more of a Tom Coughlin, Bill Belichick than you need a Mike
Somebody
Tomlin,
who's
Kevin
controlling and not letting the guys get out of. So 45-44 is in score. UCLA makes this massive comeback. Kevin Sumlin's name is all over the place, especially on Facebook. One of the ambassadors for the school came out and said he should be fired. He would have been fired long ago if I had a say. I think you got to give it a little bit more time. I hate to
How
fire
much
a guy
time are you
at the
gonna give
beginning.
him?
Well, you don't fire a guy at the beginning of the year. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Especially when you owe him that much money.
So you don't mean in his career at A&M. You're just talking about this year.
No.
It's too early
Let's
this
see.
year.
Yeah, let's see how things go. It's one game. It's the first game of the season. They lost to a decent team with a great quarterback, great young quarterback. This guy's going to be a first-round draft pick. There's no doubt about that. So give him more time. But I agree. I think at the end of the season, he's gone.
That seat's blistering hot. And
it will be blistering hot until we come back after this commercial break.
during the break, we were talking fantasy football, and it has become a phenomenon over the last, decade, to the point now where ESPN has over 1 million leagues in their system alone, and that doesn't even include Yahoo, NFL.com.
Yeah.
This has really become almost a sport within itself.
When you talk about guys getting tattoos because they lose their league, or guys, having to do a bucket challenge, or
money,
a lot of money. And that's one of the things is we've seen several of these leagues, FanDuel.com, DraftKings come in here, and they're doing a daily fantasy league, which I don't really understand and don't really want to understand, because it sounds like a lot of my money is going to end up out of my bank
daily,
account
does
by
that
doing
mean
so.
that you bet on practice?
No, I'm guessing what it means is that each day you're or each week you're selecting. I don't even know.
It's probably weekly.
Let's not get too deep into it.
It's the semantics. Let's not get into semantics.
But it's too crazy for me. I want to draft a team at the beginning of the year, keep them throughout the year, make a few trades, a few waiver pickups, but
it shows intelligence.
I selected those guys for a reason. I want to keep them on my team.
I really see this as I think this was a coordinated effort between the NFL and whatever.
And Las Vegas,
and I think what it is it is supposed to be the bridgeway to get into betting, to get into gambling,
it's
to legalize
addictive.
gambling.
I'm not going to deny that. It's absolutely addictive. And every single person that asks me to be in a league, I have a very difficult time saying no.
And it honestly, it is betting. It is gambling.
I'm putting money,
you're putting
and
money
I'm
into
betting
something.
on player performance, and then at the end of the season, I may win or I may lose. So yes, it is gambling.
And the real catch to this entire game, because that's what it is, it's a game.
Yeah.
These fantasy leagues, is the fact that you are betting and the people are real people. You're getting real-time stats that are allowing you to bet in real time. Even though you do it ahead of time, every single game matters, every single play matters, every single touchdown
inch matters.
Every inch matters. So,
and then you get angry at these players because they didn't do what you wanted them to do. Coach sat him for a quarter and cost me, a couple $100 because he didn't get the stats I needed. So I'm going to be angry at the player.
But what is the other part
How fair
of
is that?
It is a nefarious plan, because the other side of it is this has brought more fans to the NFL than ever before, because these people might not care about the teams.
But they love to gamble.
So what they're doing is they're watching. They have NFL, they're buying NFL Sunday ticket so they could watch their tight end and their running back and their quarterback do what they need to do to win them money.
And the one thing we didn't talk about in the break is how it promotes following players rather than teams, right? Because
teams are dying.
in the past, we all followed our team. I was born in Dallas, so I love the Cowboys. You enjoy Green Bay for whatever reason. But everybody loved a team, and you grew up around the team. You went to the games. You liked the players on the team, but you didn't follow those players. If they left and went somewhere else, typically, you weren't going, oh, well, Emmitt Smith went to the Cardinals, so I'm going to go root for the Cardinals. No, I'm still a Dallas Cowboys fan. But now with fantasy football, I'm following players, specific players every week from teams I don't care about.
And this all started, not with fantasy football, this all started with free agency.
Yeah.
It used to be, if you got drafted by a team, most likely, unless they cut you, you retired with the same team. And now, what has happened is these players are switching around almost yearly.
Yeah.
If they do, they could go over and get a one-year contract for $10 million, play, do really well, and then they can sign an even bigger contract the next year. And so what's happening is you're getting these journeymen, good players. Look at Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
For his entire career, he's been one of the top wide receivers in the NFL. And he's been on like 7 teams.
He's hard to pass up in fantasy drafts. I did pass up on him this year in my fantasy draft because he's getting near, the end of his career. But there are guys like that that can go and play somewhere else and be successful. And, yeah, you're going to follow him. You followed Brett Favre for his career.
Yeah.
And I won't say anything about Brett Favre because we'll get on that topic for another hour. But the idea is that fantasy football is promoting more of this follow-up player. It's promoting buying NFL Sunday ticket, because if you're a Cowboys fan, you live in Dallas, you're getting the Cowboys games. There's no doubt about that. You're not going to get a black unless you're in Jacksonville. That's a whole nother issue also. But you live in the hometown, you're going to get to watch those games. If you don't live in the hometown, you used to just kind of figure out a way to get back for a couple of games, or you'd watch, some of their away games or whatever. But now we're going on and we're watching every second of NFL football that we can, because we're committed to players on a plethora of teams.
But there's also a negative side to this whole entire
Addiction?
league. No, it's worse than that. What is happening now is it is putting untold pressure on these players socially. If they miss a catch, they are getting dogged online.
All I can say is ignore Twitter then.
Yeah, but they're kids.
Yeah.
They grew up on Twitter. And just look at LeBron James.
Hey man, you dropped that pass. You cost me $100 in my fantasy league. Said everybody to every NFL player this last week.
I honestly think that this is really producing a bunch of players who have no self-confidence. They are looking to be approved of by society on social media or social networks. They are looking to be approved of and proved by not the teams by getting paid money, but by these social programs, sort of like, and I mean social program as in like fantasy football. Yeah. Because what it is, hey man, I've got people that count on me.
I'm a top 10 draft pick every year in fantasy football. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. You hear all the times, if you went up to Ezekiel and go, I didn't draft you until the 7th round, he'd be like, why'd you do that? It means something to these players. It almost is as big as their Madden ratings. These players go nuts.
Oh, that's the craziest. They look at the Madden ratings and they actually care what the rate on Madden. I can't believe they even respond to any of that.
But it's the same thing. They are looking to be validated on something more than their play on the field. They are looking to get validated outside the field in society when they shouldn't.
Hey, I want to be validated by the rest of the teams in my league for my wins, because I'm winning the championship.
I want to be validated by the girls on Maxim, but it's not going to happen.
Well, that's true. I haven't won the league in a long time.
Yeah, so.
Ever since I got married, pretty much, it's been, whoop.
The way I see this is I would give it another 3, 4, 5 years, and I really think this thing's going to hit fever pitch. And we're either going to see it go full-on betting, Vegas, have its own league.
Well, you got the Raiders moving to Vegas. Yeah. That's not going to hurt.
So outside of that, I do think it's going to go that way, or it's just going to collapse. I think it's not because it's not popular, but because the NFL is going to go, this is putting too much pressure on our players. This is stuff we don't want seen, even though it's brought a lot of positivity towards the league. Or has it gotten too big that the league can't back out of it now?
I think that's where we are. I think the league is not going to be able to back out of it. I think that's why you're seeing the Raiders move to Las Vegas. I think that's why you're going to see FanDuel and DraftKings continue in the market, despite the fight the NFL's put up basically against them, the fight they put up through Congress.
The fight
against them. Yes, fight. Exactly.
I think it's all a charade.
You think they're so for betting and they're just trying to show the public that they're not, but in the end they're like, well, we lost.
Maybe they're not for betting, sports betting. I think they're more for fantasy football has brought them more to the league than they have lost from the league. They have brought them millions upon millions, tens of millions of new fans.
For the people who have left because of concussions and...
It's more than made up for it.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think it's more of a cash cow now than they even thought possible. And it's going to get worse before it gets better when it comes to this thing is going to go crazy.
Well, also the NFL has a benefit over a lot of other sports where if you're doing baseball or basketball, you're having to update daily. You have to be on there all the time. Whereas the NFL, it's once a week. All you have to do is watch Sunday afternoon. When you have nothing else going on, that's it. You just watch Sunday afternoon. You've made your lineup, probably Sunday morning. You finish up Sunday evening. I think one of the problems they have is they're trying to branch out into like Thursday and maybe Wednesday night, and they got Monday. That's too much football. Just give us one day, Monday night football, fine. But one day of football.
Mark my words.
It's too,
I think
too
in
hard
the
for
next
fantasy when you got
decade-
so many days.
I think in the next decade, the same transformation from the same point as it happened in the NFL, from back rooms and betting that way in Vegas.
Yeah.
I think you're going to start seeing fantasy football creep into college. I think you're going to start seeing now that there's going to be college fantasy football. They're going to get to the point where, yeah, maybe these schools don't get the amount of money, but it's just as big.
Yeah.
Now you won't even have to. You don't have to just bet on Sundays. You can bet on Saturdays too. I just think this thing's going to spread to a point where it's going to be unattainably. You're not going to be able to contain it.
No.
And what's going to happen then is it's going to open a Pandora's box because these kids are now going to start going, you make money off of me, not only in school, but in society. I want to take of that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be a positive light on that because kids don't need to be making money when they go to college through that.
No. I think entering gambling into the college campus is going to be a huge problem moving forward, especially for the NCAA. Well, that's it for Off the Bench.